Mason.
Oh, you don't.
I didn't hear.
I met with.
Maybe it's a little cold. I told her, somebody in the phone box will do it today. I called back. No, she just won't forget.
Ready. Good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. Monday, June the 8th, 2020. I'd like to welcome everyone to a regular meeting of Montague County Commissioners Court. For those of you that are here in the gallery this morning, I appreciate your attendance here. We are required to maintain social distancing, and we have chairs that are open in the courtroom. The ones that are closed, of course, can't occupy, but we are trying to adhere to what the governor's recommended for us to do, what Office of Court Administration has required us to do. So with that, we have public access and means to participate still with the video link. We'll be using and we'll continue to be using until we're able to do otherwise. So with that, we'll start, and everyone would stand for our invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Langford's going to lead us in the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you blessed us with. We thank you, dear Lord, for all the people that could be here, and ask, dear Lord, that you please put an end to this coronavirus as quick as you see fit. Pray, dear Lord, you'll just lead, guide, and direct us, and help us through this Commissioner's Court today, that everything's done in peace and harmony. Pray this in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. I will also advise everyone that Commissioner Darden is running late this morning, but we do have a quorum present. Item number 3 on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone in the gallery or anyone that is watching through the video link that has anything they'd like to bring to the floor? We'll just a minute or two for everyone to be able to sign in. No public comments, then we will move on to item number 4, the consent agenda. Is there anyone that has anything on the consent agenda that they'd like to pull off the discussion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Murphy, second Commissioner Langford to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, right hand. All voted for. Thank you. Item number 5 is a COVID-19 operational update. We're doing well for Montague County. The numbers from the weekend, we've got 248 tests that have been given, which is a really big increase of tests that have been documented, but that includes all of the long-term care facilities that were tested in the county over the last 2 weeks. We've got no confirmed cases from those tests, and I think the numbers that I got this morning, it's really, really hard to balance that. not like balancing a checkbook. The numbers that DHS gives sometimes are a little bit skewed with what we get from our, that they give the local health authority than we get from him. But right now, we still have 9 confirmed cases. That's not changed. We haven't had a confirmed case in over a month. We've had a lot of tests given up. We went from 53 tests to 248. So, tests given, no more confirmed cases. 8 of the 9 have recovered with 1 fatality. One of the differences, and I mentioned this last court meeting, when those tests are given, if they're symptomatic, which a lot of them are symptomatic, they include those as a probable confirmation until it's not. So the problem with that is we don't get what the results are with that. It's negative, we don't get a negative result from DHS. We just don't get a positive one after the expiration of the recommended quarantine period. So it's really hard to keep up with that, and I know a lot of people in the public, I get emails regularly from them wanting to know why we can't balance this. And the problem is DHS is just as busy as we are. And with all the numbers and stuff that they're getting across the state, I mean, we've got 1.2 million people that have been tested in this state. And to disseminate that information in a manner that makes sense is really hard with the system that we have right now. Now, I'm sure that we'll learn things as a state and as an organization with dishes to make this better as time goes along, and hopefully the next time this happens. We may not any of us be a part of it, but there'll be a next time at some point, and hopefully we'll learn and be able to structure this a little bit better. But with that, a great report for the county with no new cases, with a lot of testing being done and all the long-term care facilities as well. That's one of the biggest things I think is just those facilities are free. Clear. So anybody on the court have anything? Okay, we'll move on to item number 6. Discuss and consider approving the Montague County 2020 Help America Vote Act, the CARES Act sub-grant resolution, and take necessary action. We had this on the agenda last time, last court meeting, and approved to go forward with the grant for the election administrator. When we went to do that, there was a resolution that I missed. So we have to pass that resolution and the court sign it before we can actually complete that application process. So that's why that's on here this morning. So I could get a motion just to approve the resolution, and then we'll stick around afterwards and get it signed, or it'll be in our office here, and y'all can go by one at a time and sign it.
Motion to approve the resolution, give whoever needs to sign it authority.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Langford, second Commissioner Mayfield, to approve the resolution for the Hobbit grant in the CARES sub-grant resolution. That's what it is. Help America Vote with the CARES Act sub-grant. Any discussion, any questions about it? All in favor, right hand. All voted for. Thank you. Item number 7, discuss and consider energy capital reimbursement distribution and take necessary action. These capital credits that we get are governed by the local government code. I think it's 381.004 is how we can disseminate that. And most of it is done through economic development corporations and advocacy groups for child welfare. And that being said, I've reached out to both of our local EDC directors and Child Welfare Board and spent some time visiting with them, and they have all 3 presented plans, which are in your packet this morning to review for some distribution of those funds. We've got a large distribution recently, and in the event of what's going on with the virus and with the storm and buoy, we really, my opinion is we really need to distribute these funds to them so that they can be put to good use, and we can try to restore business in the county and make it easier for people to come back and work again. And the Child Welfare Board, I know they have suffered greatly because their fundraisers are 100% funded by fundraisers, and they've lost the ability to do that. So what they get in just individual donations is all the money that they're going to have to operate on. So before we get into the numbers and stuff, I would invite those, and I'll start with Austin Wright is here from Child Welfare Board. Austin, if you'd like to come up and kind of explain what you're doing with that, with the money, and we'll just do this one at a time. My recommendation is going to be for a $60,000 distribution to the Child Welfare Board. We've got funds to be able to help them with that, and kind of give us a breakdown of what your annual budget is and what you're losing.
Sure. So first, I'd like to say thank you for just the opportunity to apply for it. Obviously, things are different. As ever since I've been on the board, we have been solely funded by individual donations or grants, and that has halted in a lot of ways. We've already missed 2 fundraisers, and then I don't know what the impact this is going to be with our large fundraiser that a group of businessmen from the Metroplex area has kind of adopted us through their continued education programs, and I don't know what the impact is going to be with that. So we're trying to work. This is with counseling, with CPS requests, with a new parenting class that we're trying to get started with about a $200,000 budget. Now, some of that does come from grant money. And I will kind of divide the two into 2 areas. One is immediate relief, and one is what I call transformational vision. Immediate relief is, of course, providing the immediate supplies needed for children who are taken out by CPS or from children that we hear that have need. Our vision has expanded not just to providing needs for those who are in CPS care and foster care, but really to be a community organization that helps families in need that have children that are not in the system, trying to keep them out. And so if a child is in physical need of some sort of necessity, clothing, food, doctor visits, things like that, we provide funds for those things. And in the 10 years that I've been there, we've never said no to CPS once, because we've had the funds to do that. So that would be number 2, the CPS foster agency request. In 2019, we spent close to $15,000 just on immediate requests, and we've spent upward in some years $20,000 to $25,000 for that. And I'm requesting to use that about $10,000 of this distribution money for that cause specifically. Counseling services. One of the things we believe in is that this kind of suffers from a generational type of form of systematic generational form of child abuse and neglect. And so the best way to combat that, I think, is to really provide services for children as they mature and help in that maturing process. And so we have contracted with a counselor, Shandy Clark. She's of St. Joe, Texas. And she provides counseling at all school districts and all towns in Montague County. And you can see on kind of how she divides her hours up in the different areas. We do currently have a VOCA grant for this that covers 80% of the counseling services. And we have about $120,000 that is designated for that counseling service. She not only counsels with students and children, she is now doing family counseling as well as needed. And so we're requesting $40,000 to cover the other 20% of the VOCA grant that we owe, that we have to match for the next 2 years. And so that would free up us to make sure we have that program going for the next 2 years. And then we have just started a parent education class in which we are inviting parents to come and learn some practical things towards parenting, like cooking on a budget, how to clean a house, some things that many of us take for granted and that we think people should just know. It's amazing that a lot of parents don't know some of these practical sides of living life. And so We are creating a parent program that kind of comes alongside these parents and walks alongside them. One of the things I love about our organization is that we're not a cookie cutter type of group that just puts things out on a conveyor belt. Our care, I think, is very specific to the people that we're coming into contact with. And so Child Welfare Board plans to use $10,000 of the distribution money to go for the parent education classes. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much for the breakdown with that. I mean, this money is, like I said, is designated by statute on how it can be spent. And we're tasked with distributing that money, and it really gives clarity and gives accountability when programs explain like you did right here, how this money is given. And I really appreciate the work that y'all do. It's problems that we have that generate the necessity for you to be here as an organization. It takes money to operate, and it takes a lot of money to operate, especially with the fostering. So with that, my recommendation to the court is the $60,000 that he's asked for this. Let me back up just a little bit, and the auditor can correct me if I'm wrong, but right now, cumulatively with what we've got in the last couple of years from this reimbursement, we've got about roughly $120,000 in that fund right now. And my recommendation is going to be $60,000 to the Child Welfare Board and $25,000 each to the EDCs for recovery of business in those communities that they serve, which will leave us roughly $10,000 in that fund because we do libraries and stuff later on in the year, and that'll leave enough money in there to help those along so that we don't lose the reading programs and the programs for children that we have in those libraries that we've done. But sitting on it is and we make interest with it, but that's neither here nor there. It's money that needs to be spent, and we have a real need in the community right now to do that. So if anybody has any questions for Austin, now's the time. If not, then I'm going to ask Janice Crawley to come up. Or Boo EDC. Anybody? Thank you, Austin, very much. Appreciate it.
Morning.
Good morning, Janice.
Well, let me start this conversation off with our gratitude from Bowie. So as y'all are aware, we've had some tragedy in our community, and I want to commend the court because everybody in this room sent volunteers or sent crew members or sent equipment, and we really appreciate that and couldn't really survive at this point where we're at in 2 short weeks. It doesn't seems like 2 short years, but it's only been 2 weeks, and we've been able to accomplish a lot because of that. So, thank you. I am here this morning to talk to you about the $25,000 that we have discussed and how we will go about using that. In your packet, our corporation several months ago actually began the COVID reimbursement for anybody who was not eligible for a PPP or an EIDL. They've changed the rules a little bit, and so more people are available to apply for those PPPs. But if you were a sole proprietor, you got $1,000 because you had one employee. So you filled out your paperwork. If you filled out your paperwork, submitted it, you got $1,000. And we all know that, one of the prominent people that have filled those out have been beauticians. They, have been out of work. They couldn't pay any of their bills. They couldn't pay anything. So $1,000 really didn't go that far. So we gave the COVID out of our contingency fund, and we're able to give them an additional $1,500. If they didn't qualify, then they got the $2,500, but they had to submit their paperwork that showed us that they did actually suffer some sort of a loss. The emergency fund that is also in your packet, that application is $1,000, 100% donations that are coming in, and trying to figure out what 501c3 or who could collect those funds and administer those. The Economic Development corporation stepped up to the plate and said, hey, why don't we do this? We'll administer it and we'll, come up with an application and anybody that's truly in need. And we do vet those people that are getting those funds. To date, we've given out $15,000. We've collected 30. We've given out 15,000, and we have enough applications on our desk right now where those funds will be depleted by tomorrow at 5. So I can tell you that probably this $25,000 will go for disaster relief for businesses. We've not given any money to the businesses, and if you don't know, 50 of our downtown businesses sustained significant or complete damage to their facility. And they lost their roof. So if you lose your roof, what happens to your inventory? So our downtown business district has been heavily affected by this. So I can't speak on behalf of the board, but I can assure you that this money will be spent nowhere except for to support businesses that going forward. All part of our business retention and expansion program that we have in place.
And that's what we spoke about.
Yes.
At length was that by statute, this can be used for economic development.
Right.
And we can give it to you as a corporation for the disbursement and the logistical piece of that.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you taking that on to do it, and the board take that on.
Absolutely.
And anybody have any questions or comments?
I just appreciate the work y'all do there too, because it's not easy, They did pretty good bit of damage over there, and it's gonna take some time to get back on your feet pretty well.
Well, but we're gonna make it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Janice.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
y'all.
And then from Nocona / St. Joe, Donna Culpepper is here this morning. From the Economic Development Corporation in Nocona.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for giving us this opportunity to receive the funds. It's something that I know is needed. We are not as devastated as Bowie, but I can say this, most of the small businesses have tried to get the PPP and a lot of them have not had the opportunity to receive them. I think some of the businesses in St. Joe didn't even fill out some of the paperwork, but our small businesses are still in need of help and support. Even with the PPP, that was just for basically salaries. Their businesses have been closed and shut down, came back maybe 25 to 50%, but they're still in need of help and assistance. Nocona is a smaller EDC than Bowie is, so we didn't have the resources maybe to help and assist our small businesses, maybe like they did. So this is truly an opportunity for the EDC to help and have those businesses continue to be sustainable. So we really thank you for this opportunity. And like I said, there are several businesses in St. Joe that didn't even fill out any paperwork for assistance because there was no one there to help them and guide them through the process. So again, I thank you, and we will navigate through this process to get everything correct. We've made our form easy so that the businesses could get their money quicker because they're really in need of it. So again, I just thank you for the opportunity for us to have these funds to be dispersed through the northern part of our county. Any questions?
Again, I thank you for helping St. Joe out too, because they turmoil and stuff there, they don't have the people that does help them, turn in for an application. Thank you very much for that. I'm proud that St. Joe has been included in this.
And they need to be.
Yes, they do.
Thank you. Let me just say too, I appreciate the collaboration that y'all have. Two EDCs work together to get these programs put together. The application processes and all that is there so that there is accountability to it. And I really appreciate y'all working together to get that done. So thank you very much. Okay. Anybody else have anything on the board? Once again, my recommendation is for a $60,000 distribution to Child Welfare Board, Montague County Child Welfare Board, and then $25,000 each to the two economic development corporations for Bowie and Montgomery.
I'll put that in the form of a motion for you, Judge.
Second.
Have a motion from Commissioner Langford, second Commissioner Murphy. Any discussion, any comment? All in favor, right hand. All voted for it. Thank you. Folks, thank y'all very much for being here. Really appreciate the work that y'all are doing. We wouldn't be near as far down the road with this if it weren't for y'all. So thank you very much. Item number 8 on the agenda is discuss and consider approving a revised Montague County Employee Handbook and take necessary action. There was a lot of work put in on this handbook, a whole lot of work from the HR department. And there's probably still a lot of work yet to do with it. The discussion this morning. I hope that y'all have had a chance to review, especially the highlighted pieces in that manual that HR sent to us, and generate some discussion with it, see what we want to do, especially the highlighted pieces. That's what the main changes were with that. And I'm going to ask Jennifer if she kind of guide us through those a little bit. I know I'm catching you a little bit off guard, but through some of the discussions that we had with it, there's some significant changes with that we need to talk about.
Most of the revisions that are in there, the revised handbook is gonna be quite a bit, have a lot more content than the current handbook, but it's mostly just the legal jargon that has to be included so that we don't discriminate against anybody.
Let me hold up just a second. You think we're getting this on the?
Or,
You may need to come up to the microphone if you don't mind. So folks that are online can hear.
like I said, most of the changes that are in there are just so that we don't, our policy reads so that we're not excluding and discriminating. And it says, that we do use the FMLA and policies like that are law that we have to go by. Harassment and such as that. The things that were highlighted in yellow that are in the book that we've changed, that I really want input from the commissioners, is drug and alcohol testing. Do we want to include the DOT regulations require that we randomly test at least 50% of our CDL drivers at least once a year. DOT regulations require that we do pre-employment drug and alcohol testing on every CDL driver before they're hired. And then also the post-accident, that we can't get around that. We've got to update that and get that working better than what it has been. The question that I have is, do we want to start doing pre-employment and or random drug screening on all county employees, or do we want to just keep that to CDL drivers?
I think it should be all.
I agree.
I have price lists here with me from about 4 or 5 different places that can do the testing for us. They're all pretty comparably priced, about the same. So it's just a matter of, I'll get that to you guys and you'll pick which one you want to go with.
Would there be a contract entered into with them so that it's guaranteed?
Yes,
Okay, good.
yes.
Good.
But then once we enter into that contract, they handle all of our random testing, they handle all of our pre-employments, and they handle all of our post-accidents. So we're not running around here if something happens going, okay, who do we call?
Right.
where can we send them?
What's the average cost of a random?
Yeah, I just had an incident.
Sir?
So I just had an incident over there, we couldn't even concentrate.
Yeah,
Right.
that's been a problem. Normally, we've been able to get adult probation to help us with that, but during the viral incident that we're going through, they weren't able to do that.
Typically, depending on if it's in after hours or during business hours, somewhere between $55 and $75 a piece.
The reason I asked Jennifer is at the fire department, and fire departments all over the country, we do a litmus test.
Mhm.
And they walk in and hand it to us. Supervisor, which is our chief, watches us take it, put it back in the deal in 5 minutes, I think. If you got meth or alcohol or whatever, then you go take a real drug test.
Do we have anybody here that's
But it-
certified?
You have to be a supervisor. It's a litmus test. You
Okay.
swab inside your mouth and take it, and it's reasonable. It's like, Debbie knows, I think, it's maybe $5 or $6 a pop, something like that.
And there's also, most of these do include the training that you guys, the commissioners, can all be trained so that we don't run into legal barriers with trying to justify whether or not whoever just administered the test or decided that they needed the test was capable of making that decision.
You can do it random or suspicion, right?
Mhm. But you have to have the training to be able to recognize the symptoms. I mean,
Right.
obviously, if somebody's stumbling drunk, you pretty well know that, but we still have to legally cover ourselves and have the training. And that's about $75 a piece for everybody that we do that with. So that, like I said, that I just want the commissioner's input. If y'all want all of the employees included in the randoms and the pre-employment, do we want to start doing criminal background checks before we hire people? In the courthouse, I mean,
I think we need to. I mean, you don't want to hire somebody that's,
well, that's my thought. I don't want somebody that's been convicted of embezzlement working in the treasurer's
Right.
office. Or any of the clerk's offices where they're handling money every day. That
Right.
wouldn't make sense. But, we can't discriminate because they have a criminal background, but you don't want to let the fox in the hen house either.
right.
But as small as Montague County is, don't you feel like that the office holders would know what kind of employee you're hiring?
They
We
should.
haven't had a problem in the past with legal, I won't say legal work, I don't know what you call it, all we really had a problem with is CDL drivers. I guess it's for cover yourself is what gets me, tears me up all the time. To cover yourself, you have to put everybody in it.
Right.
In the past, when Gus was doing it, we just tested every truck driver, every CDL operator. That way we weren't, discriminating, I guess, but, I don't have a problem either way. And it's not all that much money, but I just don't think we need it for the office holders. Each one of these office holders I think you'll know who you're hiring. And if you suspect something, you're gonna find out if there's a problem there. If you suspect something and it happens to crop up that it's not, they don't get picked as a random test that time, you're gonna have to make the choice to go have them tested.
Like I said, that's why I want you guys input. I don't want to put that in there and then,
Maybe I've missed something in 27, going on 28 years here. I don't recall any lady or man that worked in the courthouse, or annex either one.
right.
If it is, it doesn't really matter to me, but I think it should be based really specifically on the CDL drivers. That's where the most liability is there.
Well,
Maybe
those are,
before I speak,
drug
maybe-
testing or the criminal history check?
The drug testing.
Okay.
Criminal history, as far as myself, if I'm looking at a person that doesn't have, if they've got CDL driver's license, they've had a pretty extensive background check. If they don't have one and you hire them and you're gonna help them get it, you better know what you hire right there. Because I've run into that before, hire somebody and then come back around that they had a fine or something that they didn't pay, you know, and had to make sure they got that done before they could ever get renewed to CDL. So that is a problem.
And that part, I mean, as far as the pre-employment drug screening and stuff on the CDL drivers, we can't get around that. We have to do that. But that's federal DOT regulations, and we're not excluded from those. But like I said, as far as for the offices and all, that's strictly left up to you guys, whether the commissioners, whether y'all want to try to implement that or not. And I agree that office holders are able to make their own decisions, for sure, but I just
I think it takes some of the liability off that.
legally to cover ourselves, it's
Yeah.
just not a bad idea.
My recommendation would be just like Commissioner Murphy recommended, is just make it a countywide policy for reemployment. I think that's pretty much a standard anyway. And I think it just adds a layer of protection for the county with that and that background investigation as well. The history part, I think that's imperative. If we start doing something like that, that's going to take some work through the HR department to develop that plan to do. And make it as efficient and successful as we can. That's going to be hard to get done. It's not going to be hard. It's going to be time consuming. The groundwork has already been done. It's not like you're reinventing the wheel, but it's going to take some time to put something like that together.
Well, as far as drug testing, no, you just submit a list of all the county employees to whoever we decide to get in a contract with. They put them in a computer and randomly check them. That's, to me, that's all that is right there.
Correct.
Right, but I'm talking about pre-employment and the investigation, the background investigation for pre-employment. And you're right, that part of it, if they're going to maintain that within that contract guidelines, that's great. That takes a lot of work off for us.
Makes it a lot easier if we can just do it all in one place.
Sure.
Send everybody to the same place.
Sure.
And I think pretty much all of these companies, and this is more for the DOT whenever we get ready to do that safety policy, but pretty much all of these places, we have the option of having them come on site to do testing as well, obviously for additional charges, but we can just have them come and do everybody all at once if we need to also.
Do they do the background check also?
Some of them do. I don't know that all of these that we've contacted will do that.
What kind of, we may have to do some more research with this, but what kind of budgetary constraints are we looking at? Is this something we're going to have to bid out because of the
I think
price on it?
so. These that I have here, the prices are usually, most of them are about $250 a year, and then so much per employee per service.
Yes, ma'am.
On the criminal history background check, maybe Jack could, because y'all can do those in your office, but basically I think those can be done in the HR department once it becomes part of the policy.
Maybe, I don't have any knowledge of that. Maybe.
And they're, once you get signed up with them, you just basically fill in their information and, because at nursing homes, you have to have a criminal history check, and we used to do them in the payroll office, so I don't think there's a need to pay somebody to do that.
Okay.
How did you go about that, Jennifer? You just get with your local law enforcement or something like that?
There's a criminal history check, and certain organizations can get access to, of course, the law enforcement can get everything.
Yeah.
You know, but
Well, what about like the district clerk's office that runs the handgun
They want all handgun shows in criminal history, so.
But they're doing it under the handgun access. They're doing it for a reason. You can't just go sit in front of a computer and start running criminal history checks on people.
No, because they do
You have
audits.
to have permission, you have to have a specific purpose, and pre-employment is one of those. So,
So what you're saying is you get signed up into the same thing like one of the police are into, they can go look up their stuff, HR groups. Right. Okay. I didn't know they were giving with much anyway.
I didn't know how y'all would do it, you know, if you get signed up and they, you know, you're allowed to do it. I know how the law enforcement can do it. But
We just have to have permission, and it has to be part of our policy before we can start doing anything like that.
I think it's something that needs to be done. That's just me. I think we need to be doing it. Be safe.
and then that would also become part of the employee packet for permission to run criminal.
Right. Exactly. Application process.
So that goes on your job application when you apply to county
Yes.
commission.
It's something to be-
The other thing, the other things that were in there were just the basic employment, the application process, the, employee benefits, the vacation, sick time, personal leave. I had those highlighted. The other thing that I did change just a little bit was the way we do our job postings. We're not required statutorily to post the jobs like we have been, but it is recommended that we do it so that we have our due diligence process proof that we've done it. The thing that I changed though is that we can post it in-house and publicly concurrently for the 5 days. So that as soon as we have an opening or a job available, we can post that for internal employees to apply, as well as post it to the website and go ahead and have outside applications coming in at the same time, which basically reduces our job posting time from 10 days down to 5 business days. Makes it where we can get somebody in here real quickly if we need to, if we find the right candidate.
Let me ask one thing on that though. If I could see that creating a whole lot of paperwork to go through, if you listed 5 days internally and you do have a candidate, if you listed it 5 days in both outside and inside, you can't just pick your internal candidate for the position. You have to go ahead and go through and interview the job applications, don't you?
Not if you have somebody, because we want to hire from within first, if we can. You're still bound to that 5 days before you can make a job offer to anybody. You don't have to necessarily interview everybody just because they put their application in. But like I said, if you have somebody internally that's qualified for the position, it's okay to go ahead and just interview that person.
One of the things about that I thought was good is that, let's say that you make a decision on a position, and if that position empties again within 6 months, you can go back to the same pool and pull the same applications.
So you don't have to advertise the
Right.
job opening again.
Right.
Right.
Which is a whole lot better than the way it was before. You have to start all over again.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions about any of that? That's something y'all want to vote on today? You want to try to isolate this down a little bit closer with the screening and see exactly how that's going to affect budget and so forth?
I did just look up the litmus that I was talking about. It's $9.40 a test. That's what it costs.
So why would you need that though? And I'm just asking this, if we're gonna go ahead and be on random draw, why would you administer that?
It's just cheaper.
I know that we still have to be on random draw, don't we?
Well, the thing about, and what I know what you're saying, we can do that, especially if we have a suspicious
Right.
case. But if we are administering our own randoms,
Well, right now, our drivers, unless I'm wrong, all of our drivers do about once a year. All of them, they all come over here, is that right? So, I mean, once a year, you sit down on June the 8th and say, we're gonna do or you don't have to tell them that. But
Right.
they all come in that morning and you do the test. You know, they don't tell us when we're gonna take it, we just take it.
we just have to be really careful doing it ourselves, because there's legal traps you can fall into where you end up being sued for discrimination or something. And if we're if we're gathering everybody up, then yes, that kind of helps eliminate that aspect, but
If we do the test that Mark's talking about, we won't have to be in a contract
right.
with anybody,
You still have to have a place for them to go
but we won't be, it won't be.
if they test positive.
I see it being an added cost if you're gonna do that with a random piece
The
of it.
thing of it is
It's-
most of the places that administer, that we would be in a contract with to do that, they will not do any of the testing if they don't do our random pulls also.
Well,
If we're not in a contract with them, they won't do our post-accidents, they won't do our pre-employments, and none of it.
what little I've been involved with this over the past couple of years, talking to Isaac Garcia, TAC is really requiring us for a random draw. Because, you know, I put it to him that we weren't discriminating because we were testing all the drivers. He couldn't give me a no answer that they want that random draw in there. That way, cover you about, that's all it is. In that, you know, I just soon get into this random draw and let that go and not worry about nothing else. That's what we need to do, let's do it.
Well, the DOT regulations say that we have to test at least 50% of our CDL drivers
On a random
on a
draw,
random basis,
Yeah.
at least once a year. But
sounds a problem.
it doesn't say that we can't do 100% once a year either.
Well, that's what we're getting into, and it was actually cheaper for us when Gus was able to do that, and it would have been for this. But more and more TAC is requiring us to do this, so I'd rather go on with it. Is it included in this? I hadn't read all through it. Your Montague County, the changes you made, it's already in here.
Well, the piece on the pre-employment, post-employment, or post-driving accident, those are options in there, in that, and we need to choose which ones of those we want to include in. Yeah.
If we want to include all employees, or if we want to just restrict it to just our CDL drivers.
That sounds like we want to do all of them.
I think so, like the suspicion piece of it. With the training and stuff that goes in with that, if we're gonna be doing random for the entire population of employees anyway,
So you got an employee comes to work and they're suspiciously messed up on something and can be a hazard to somebody or themselves. Can this company test them,
Yes,
or we can have that done as up there or whatever?
but that, in order for you to be able to do that, though, you have to go
you
through
have to have the
training.
training so that you can recognize the signs that says this guy is obviously on something.
To do the problem, or recognizing the problem.
Then,
You can't,
So every supervisor would have to be trained.
mhm.
you have to have that training before you can have them go take a test that day.
Well, if a guy comes to work and he's drinking an alcohol and stumbling around, I gotta put him in a truck, because I can't say.
No, you don't have to. It's up to you to say what his duties are for that day.
But
But to have it tested,
But to
You gotta
have
go
it
through the
tested,
class.
you have to go through the class.
Can our law
for
enforcement
me,
not
it's
teach
such
us
a
that?
thing, I guess
That's
the
what
guy
I'm
has to
thinking
do
is,
it, send
you know, if
HR,
you have
they
a,
won't do the test without you having the training.
it's, I mean, it's just you sit through
No, it can't.
you sit through a couple hour class.
Our law enforcement can't teach us that class. I mean, they know what to look for.
I don't know why we couldn't call them and say, hey, can you come over here and see if you think this guy is drunk?
Yeah, that's what I mean. How do you do that?
I mean, I know law enforcement has plenty of other duties and
I mean-
things to take care of too, but
Let's say you're foreman or what, I mean, that guy may be off that day, you're shot. I mean, does it gotta be for that department, or you gotta have one trained for every department, or one inside the whole county that can go say, hey, suspicious? How does that work?
as long as you have one person and you call that, I mean, if you've got somebody that comes in and Mike's the one that's had the training, you have to call Mike and say, come over here. So could the
Why can't we
foreman?
call sheriff's office then?
Do what, Jim?
I asked if the foreman could go for the training.
Yeah, it can be whoever,
Yeah, but
whoever we designate.
he ain't there that day.
Well, with dealing with road
Then
and
you
bridge,
call
I
Mark's
think,
foreman and you have him call it in.
I think you could call anybody in the
Call the
road and
sheriff's
bridge and tell him to
They're
come
already
over
trained.
test and look at your guy. You know, if he's not there that day, you can call whoever I've got certified for it, or Mike, I think they could come
Come
over
just use
there.
the sheriff's office, they're all certified for it.
Or they'd call the sheriff's office. I think there'd be somebody, it just doesn't have to
Surely
be
there
one
has
in
to
your
be.
precinct, I don't believe.
I'll do this, why don't we table this today and do a little bit more research on that piece of it right there so that we can make a good decision about it on how we want to do this and how it's gonna impact.
I got another question. How many people got
Got what,
this
copy
copy
of
of
this,
this?
the commissioners? And
Is mine the only one that's got a superimposed vacation time over the employee acceptance?
no, that's probably just something on the formatting.
That way,
That's just something over, that's a formatting issue on yours.
One I asked that is, my suggestion is give a copy of this to all the elected officials. I mean, they are representing people of the county, they're voting in with people. And get more eyes on this, just like the sheriff, Judge Benton, Judge Allen, some of these others, I mean, they're,
I'm okay with that.
uh,
I'm okay with that. I'll
that
just,
way, I mean, you just got more eyes looking, and, you know, I might look over a lot of things that the judge may see, or we all may look over something somebody else sees, somebody's got different experience levels, done different things.
Only thing I can say
I just don't have to
wrong,
rewrite this thing again, you know, I mean, we've been 4 years without one, or does it need to be redone?
right.
well, look, if you do that, it's gonna have to go to a committee and go through everything again. Or
Why?
committee. Well, that's the way that you're asking, Roy, if everybody gets a third, if you ask everybody to look at it, they're gonna have changes and suggestions for this thing. If you ask every supervisor, they're gonna have changes they wanna make
Not
to
about
it.
supervisors, talking about elected officials, how many we got?
Anyone, they're gonna, you set 15 people down to go over this thing, it's gonna take a while then. So, you know,
Really, this is fake ones, but I like word.
Well, if you want someone to go vote,
yeah, what she's put together, reading through it is pretty good. And it's,
Somebody just sat there and said, I haven't read all this. I haven't read it either, I've been 10 days in Bowie, and I haven't had a chance to look at it. So I wanna look at it.
well, we just made a recommendation table and come back with it. We don't have to decide on it today.
No,
I think that's the whole thing. We don't have to do this today. I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered with it, and she's willing to do that. But, you know, the committee piece of it, we've done that before and it didn't go well.
Okay, we got HR department now, but.
That's exactly right.
Look at it,
That's
so
why
And I
the
can tell you
questions to them, and then,
I can tell you that the basis of this, the basic outline of this, the only thing that was changed was that I added in our vacation, sick, and personal leave policies. The rest of all of that is what TAC sent me as a template.
and I did read it
And I
all. I read every page of it and it looks,
I didn't change it. That's what TAC's HR and legal departments have approved. The thing that we have to decide on is to make the decision of which options we want on the drug and alcohol testing and the criminal backgrounds.
I read it, that did may take something. I read it too, and it looked.
the only thing I didn't read was that little part that's blocked out.
It was,
I'm sorry.
it was like that on the mobile devices. I think because it was a Word document, not a PDF, it allows it to shift around. So I think if we saved it as a PDF, she could resend it out and it would do better on the mobile devices.
Thought if I turned it-
No, it's because it's on a mobile device as a Word document.
I mean, this is not something that my office just said, well, let's just put that in there. This is the document that
There's been
tax
a lot of
sent,
work put in on this.
that we have gone through and looked at and said, okay, this is what we know for sure. This is what we pulled from our current policy. These are things that we know we don't want in there.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we do the table this for today? So that there's no decisions made on it today. And let's gather just a little bit of information, a little bit more information based on the discussion that we've had here today.
Okay.
Get a little bit clearer picture on what we're presenting with this so that everybody's more comfortable with it.
I'm okay with that.
Motion to table.
Second.
Have a motion to table from Commissioner Murphy, a second from Commissioner Langford. Discussion, rest of court. I'm not trying to push this down. I just want us to make sure we make good decisions. Anybody else have anything? All in favor, right hand. All voted for it. It's tabled till a future date. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9, discuss and consider all precincts going out for sealed bids for base rock number 1 and number 2 and oversized rock, take necessary action.
Have a motion for the county judge to go out for rock. This is strictly rock only, has nothing to do with hauling. And I think Debbie's already got it. She's ready to, she just needs the court order number and she'll put it in the paper. And I think it's going to be open on, what is it, 22nd, I believe.
Second.
Have a motion, Commissioner Langford, second Commissioner Murphy, to go out for sealed bid for base rock 1 and number 1 and number 2 and oversized rock. All in favor, right hand.
And open on June 22nd.
And that'd be the next court meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Open on June 22nd.
And then make sure in discussion, I guess, Judge, that y'all get it to Johnny and Mark Mario, whoever, and Bob, get it to JR.
Okay. All right. We have, everybody voted for it. Did we take a vote before that? We'd already taken a vote. It was already approved. Thank you. All voted for it. That brings us to budget workshop. I think we have one. I think Justin's here. Melly's here. From the Extension Office, present their budget to the board. I just need to get one of you at a time. That's all we can do.
Okay. Well, I guess you can comment or I can comment from a distance.
For both of us, so
Yeah. All right, going through this year's budget, we're not asking for any requests. We're just gonna kind of go through it just real quick with you and let y'all get on about your business as well. But we just wanted to say thank you first and foremost for supporting us and doing what we're doing. You know, y'all's support has helped us go a long ways in the county, for sure. I know the last couple of months have been crazy for everybody else, and we're all trying to figure out how to kind of go back to normal, if there ever will be a normal again. But just wanted to say, I got a new computer this year, so we'll cut out that $1,200 out of the, I guess it's an inventory line now, Jennifer. And so I think at one time there was an operating expense, but now it's out of inventory. And then we're looking at cutting also, what was it, the other one we were looking at? Another inventory item.
what happened was, I believe our request for a computer got put into the office expenses, which was.
Yeah, and Jennifer may be able to explain all that, but basically, we're just saying, okay, since we don't need another computer, then we're gonna be able to drop by $1,200. Ask you to kind of still leave our transportation as it is if we can, because, you know, we hadn't done much, of course, the last 2.5 months, I guess, compared to what we normally do, but we thought while we were going into that phase, we were still sticking on budget pretty well to the way we needed to, so we felt pretty fortunate there as well. But we just wanted to say, you know, more than anything, we will be decreasing a few things in here, and I know you are looking, making quite a few cuts across the board all the way around, and we understand that too as well. So, but you know, just in a nutshell, we appreciate everything that's going on. Melanie, if you got anything else to add or anything to that?
No, we just appreciate you all very much, and we know that this whole last few months has been a bit of a kerfuffle for everybody.
Learning curve, sure. Anything y'all like to ask us while we're up here, or?
One thing about it, Kenny, if we'll get through all this, already starting to turn, we'll make it.
Yeah, we're just hoping everybody bounces back and everything kind of go back to normal. Way it should be.
Thank y'all very much.
You bet, you bet. And we're gonna, while I was thinking about it, we're getting the kids to put a video together. You know, usually we bring them in here for Commissioner's Court for interpretation events, so we're gonna give them how to put a video together, maybe show y'all. I don't know how we'll make that work exactly for y'all's end, but something that y'all can look at or something. Maybe YouTube it, and go in there and look at it or something, just since everything's different this year.
We'll put something together. We've got the big screen.
Okay.
Oh, yes, we had implemented a budget within our office for our travel, and we're set to match what was given by the court this last year. So that is a request we have, that we should just try to maintain that. I know we had a few months where we haven't traveled a lot. Yes, our kids are excited to do something to show their appreciation to you guys as well.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Yeah, have a good day. Thank you, guys.
That's the only request for a presentation we have for know that the submission of budgets for review is within the info section. If you want to go in there and look at those.
Are they on just a separate email where we can just see it, or Jennifer on all the budget? I guess, I don't know if everybody's submitted one yet. What I want to do is look at it, print it off.
Like the whole thing.
Yes.
I can send that to you. I'm not sure who all has actually logged in and done it. Has the sheriff's office? Yes, they have. Y'all have put your changes in, because I've seen them.
I think so. I think it did.
Well, you can hold up till you get everyone's. You know, I need, it doesn't really do much good just to have half of them.
Well, at this time, I said, if you don't have any changes, then you don't have to do anything.
Right.
It's just me entering the changes for the group insurance and stuff like that, so. I have heard from several of the offices, some of them I haven't, so, we can just start reviewing and go from there.
Well, they knew when to have it in.
Right. That was for today, just to start with today. So I think that we're probably going to have all the changes. Hopefully we'll have all the changes that are going to be there. And the rest of them are just left dormant and what was submitted last year. So,
Do you think, again, will you have that all together, or is it going to be separate items in code? That may be better for y'all, but it's a challenge for me to find and get everything.
Well, I can email you a,
printable document.
That'd be great,
Yeah.
right there.
Can you send me one too?
Yeah,
and I'll send it to everybody.
yeah, that's what I'd like to have. Thank you.
And I got into you helped me get into where I changed my, made some little minor changes in mine. I can't get back to that. Did you hide it from me?
I think they hid it from all of us.
I can't find it.
But if you go to, right now, my internet's not working.
Mine's not.
But if you type in the top search bar, budget management, it'll pull it up. I don't know what they did with it. It's in the GL somewhere
Right.
button, but yeah, they hid it from me too.
Are you saying what we went in and entered on our own, you can't get back to now? Is that what you're saying?
That's what Marcus said.
Yeah, I couldn't look
You
at
can't
mine.
see yours
I
again?
can't see it again. I just made
They
some minor
took the
changes.
budget management button and they included it in the GL button. Cause I had to go looking for it. I liked it better as a separate button, but,
Okay, anybody have anything else? We don't have any more presentations for the workshop.
Judge, I didn't have any changes on mine, so if you want me to say, I can
That'd be great.
present mine to say I don't have any changes. Everything is what I asked for last year. We did create the software line item, so we wouldn't miss that. So
now are you not changing your approved budget from last year or your amended budget?
The amended
Because
budget.
the approved budget is what's in there.
I went in and you had the software, so I did the 3,300 or whatever on that when I entered it.
Oh,
So I
okay,
guess
so that is.
after we made the change at the last budget to fix that.
Right.
I don't have any changes based off of that. So maybe the amended budget, but I don't have any changes off the amended budget. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right, and that's for the software that's gonna be an annual piece.
Yes, it's our antivirus. And then the only other major thing I had in there was our backup that we pay for with
Already.
PCNet. Yes, and we already paid for that. So it's already in there.
All right, anybody else have anything? Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Have a motion, Commissioner Ledford, second, Commissioner Darden. And all in favor, right hand. We are adjourned. Thank everybody that was online for reviewing this with us. We'll continue this. We'll be online again next meeting. Thank you. Yes. we got the- we got the-